Hey everyone, welcome back to LC Model Shipbuilding in our 1/350 scale model of the Lusitania. In our last video, we basically got the deck laid down. This one we're going to be putting the people and deck chairs onto the shelter deck. Then we'll also be doing some adjustments with wiring as I realized something wasn't quite going to work out, so I'll cover that as we're going. And yeah, by the end of the video, we'll have the next deck on there, and we'll have the sides of the superstructure glued on, which pretty much is going to bring us up to the main promenade deck. I'm going to hold before I put that all together because I'm out of deck chairs and people, so I had to order some of them. So the next video after this one is going to go into the boat decks, I do believe. So anyway, by the end of this video, that's pretty much where we're at. And you can see the people down inside there and the chairs. So anyway, I thank you for tuning in, and please give us a like and a subscribe. It would be greatly appreciated. Alrighty, enjoy the video. Okay, so I just wanted to kind of show the deck chairs. So these are the same ones basically that we had on Queen Mary, made by Gold Medal Models. Very, very tiny. I did kind of get not a habit, but a technique for bending them. I do one side, bring it around, do the other. The little legs down on the bottom. And fold up the top part just a little bit. So when it's all said and done, you have a deck chair that looks like that. That's the best angle. Here we go. Okay, so I've got a bunch more of these to fold and go on the ship. Okay, so I realized an error that I made. Um, shouldn't be too big of a deal, but as the deck builds up, this one will sit here. There's then walls that come along here, and then another deck that comes right across here, and it actually butts up right on top of this one. So since I wired this already, what I'm going to do is drill a bigger hole into the deck that's going there, remove this, and I should be able to slide it right under there and bring the wires up through. Not a huge deal. It won't take too much effort to fix, but just something for you to be aware of if you're building this model. All right, so where we're at right now, I'm starting to do the detail work. Let me bring the ship back on the bottom down here. And what I want to do along here, I'm going to be putting some people, some deck chairs that are all in photo-etch brass. And it calls for the first set of railings, which go right in this neighborhood somewhere. I just got to verify that with the other deck. So started doing some painting of photo etch, and as I looked at Lusitania pictures, which I'll show you what I'm looking at right now. The back of the staircase, as you might have seen, has a solid piece here. So once I pull that out and get it bent into shape, I'm going to run a piece of styrene along the back and paint that brown, and that should pretty closely resemble what I just showed in the picture. All right, so I'm going to move that for a minute. and give this a whirl to get it cut out. Now, generally with photo etch, I don't usually paint it before I bend it. But with these steps, once they are bent, it's going to be very hard to paint. So my best option that I could figure was paint it while it's flat and then bend it into shape from there. So it's just going to take a little bit more effort doing it that way, but it should be fine. All right. Now, with these steps also, they're made so that the step tread or riser or whatever you want to call them can actually get bent out as well. I do have a photo etch bender, but for something like this, 9 times out of 10, I can get away fine with just doing it with a pair of tweezers. So that's what we're doing. Put a little bit more than I wanted there. Okay. So there we go. And then to bend, like that right down there. There we go. To bend the steps up, you're simply going to take your tweezer and bend right up. And I might have to touch these up with a little bit of paint afterwards, but won't be a big deal. So anyway, after I get them bent up, I'll come back and show you what we got. Okay, I got my stairs on that wall, and I'm pretty darn happy with them. They look pretty darn good. Obviously, I have to do the other wall, and I'm getting ready to do that, but I figured I would show a minute what I do for windows. So you have these windows, and as I kind of showed with the hull in the last video, you'll get hotspot lighting. Um, these will all have fiber optic going through in that spot, basically all the lights that would be along the deck. But then to kind of simulate the windows, I'm going to use this sheet of acetate. And this stuff is pretty easy to work with. The only thing I really got to be careful of is where I'm going to have the photo or the fiber optic coming through. So I'm going to cut a piece that is smaller than the wall. And we're going to use canopy glue for this. And a toothpick. All right. So that one has a light there and there. I cut a little bit too big, just a touch. The other nice aspect of this, when you're looking at it, it will simulate the look of glass from the outside. So when you're looking at it, you will see that shine. So just like you should if you were looking at any type of building or anything like that. All right, touch canopy glue, and this dries clear. Uh-oh. Okay, well, I dropped that little piece. That's on, and it's a very small effect, but you might be able to see it. So, going to work on putting them on, and then I'm going to be putting some people on. So these actually came with the kit. They're made by a company over in Czech Republic. You can get them on eBay. I think they're $12 or $13. They're pre-painted. You can't really beat that. For the $12 or $13, I'm going to end up getting probably 2 more of these. I know when I did Queen Mary, I went through 3 or 4 sets of people, and Titanic, I went through 2 sets of people. So I'm going to say this one is probably going to take 2 or 3 sets of these, maybe 4. And then I got my deck chairs that are all going to go along the promenade deck that we were just looking at a few minutes ago there. And these also have benches on them. This is a kit for Titanic or Lusitania, so I'll get them painted up, and yeah, when we come back, I'll show you how we bend these, and then it's going to be just a lot of repetitive installation. All right, I'll be back in a bit. Okay, we got the bottom of the deck foiled up, and I decided to go with an extra detail here. This is very rarely ever going to be visible. Actually, I don't think it ever will be visible, but I did it just in case. These are rafters for underneath, so that'll get painted white. Strip here will get painted brown, and then white again on the top. So I'm gonna go down and do some painting, and then we'll do the decks after that. All right, be back. Okay, we are back, and we're going to be putting this deck onto this. So did my paint, got the front in the brown that I wanted, got the bottom down here done. It's not perfect. I really don't need it to be perfect. You really won't be able to see it at all. It's just going to be one more little detail that is there. I guess from underneath you'd be able to see it, but I'm not too worried about it. Now the next deck up, that will have more of them, and that will take a little bit longer to do. So how I put my scale decks on, I've already test fit. It does fit, no issue. Everything looks good. So I use, like I said, Gorilla Glue, wood glue, and basically just kind of smother it or lather it, whatever you want to say. I don't even know if smother is a word, but whatever. Gonna put it on and get a good coverage, but you don't want it too thick. If you get it too thick, it'll start to bubble up and potentially not stick. Really want to make sure you're getting your edges, and yeah, basically just coating it. This Gorilla wood glue actually works very, very well. I've really never had a problem with a deck coming back up after using this, so I am pretty happy with it. And I will get about 90% of the bottom side covered here, and I'll leave just a little bit to be able to hold it while I'm putting it on into position. And then after that, I'll slip the rest under using my little toothpick here. Okay, that side looks good. This one's a little tricky to hold, being that it's kind of a U shape. So bear with me. When I did the front Folkstel deck, and the video had an error. That was a pretty good video. Unfortunately, it didn't record. But hopefully this will make it up. Speaking of previous videos, I want to thank everybody that has been watching the series so far. I'm definitely enjoying doing it. It's fun to kind of go back and watch what I'm doing, and it's fun to be able to hopefully answer questions that others may have that haven't done this before, and hopefully I can help you make your model better. Again, I'm not an expert, and it's just what I've been doing and how I do it. I'm sure there's a million other ways out there to do everything that I'm doing, but this is how I've kind of self-taught myself. But if you have comments or anything like that, you know, feel free to leave a comment down there, and I'll be happy to look at what you're talking about and try to make adjustments. Okay, that's on there nice. You want to leave a little bit of a gap between that section where the wall will glue to, so if there's enough room for the wall to glue. Plastic does not like to glue to scale decks very well. All right, just need a little bit more here on that bottom section. And once these are on, I mean, they don't get a whole lot of movement or anything like that, so they pretty much stay. Okay, a little bit more here. Sorry, you can probably just see my hand. I'm gonna have to invest in a better camera holder at some point, and probably a better camera and a microphone. I know that is an issue. I'm trying, I'm doing my best. Okay, last step in this is clamping. So I'm gonna clamp this up, let it sit overnight. Oops, I don't like that one. And then tomorrow morning, we'll put this deck down, and that will pretty much end this video. We'll be done with the promenade deck at that point, and then it'll be time to go. Well, actually, that's not the promenade deck. That is the shelter deck, and then we move on to the roof for this one will be the boat deck. So this deck here would be the, what do we call it? On the directions, they're calling it the shelter deck still. So I don't know. There's 3 decks basically, and I got to put a whole run of deck chairs down again. That'll all be done before I really probably come back to the video. I mean, I might glue the deck down on the video and then go into putting the people and the deck chairs down, but I think you got the point of what that looks like and what we're doing there. So anyway, there we go. Let that sit overnight, and then I did get the next piece that kind of goes in here. That goes there, and you can still see inside. So I think it'll be good having what we did for detail, and yeah, moving right along. All right, well, that will conclude this part, and tomorrow morning we'll get this glued down. All right, we're back again. So one of the things that I try to do when I'm doing deck chairs and photo etch is make many of them in one shot. Just kind of put some music on and go at it. So probably got about 20 there or so, somewhere in that neighborhood, and I'm going to get them installed onto the promenade deck. So got a lot of people on there already. Got some deck chairs done right there. But yeah, there's people on there, and I'm basically going to run some chairs along here, some chairs along there, and then some chairs along here. They don't really have to be in any specific spot, but I'm trying to do it in the open areas from pictures that I've seen in the past, which I'll put one on right here. So you can see it, a lot of the chairs kind of ran along this area. That way people were able to walk and whatnot through the promenade area. So to do this, I find generally that a little bit of a line of glue, and I use Ultra Glue by Ammo. This works really nice for photo etch. It dries perfectly clear, does not dry shiny, and it just makes a good glue for photo etch. So I'm going to run a little glob right along in here. And I'm intentionally leaving this section here open because on the walls there's some kind of windows and stuff like that, so I'm just leaving them open. I think it kind of makes more sense. I was excited to put my order in for my next real big project coming up here in the future, which is going to be the Trumpeter 1/200 scale Titanic, and I'll definitely be videoing that, but I have every intention of making that one actually sail and doing a full-on detailed job with it. So I'll be gathering parts over the next several months. I probably won't start that one until the fall, but that's going to be a big build that I'm pretty excited about, because that ship is almost 400, about 4 foot long. So it should be a pretty impressive build from everything I've seen on it. Okay, so that's what happens when you're talking and not concentrating when it comes to photo etch. Okay, and I'm basically just going to run a line of chairs right along here. And I try to keep them pretty similar from side to side. I know it really doesn't matter, and I know in reality the chairs were probably moved all over the place throughout the course of the day, and at any given hour they'd never be all lined up perfectly in a row, but for modeling purposes, symmetry just kind of seems right to me. These chairs, again, they're gold medal models chairs. They are the Titanic and Lusitania kit, so they are supposed to be period correct, but really when it comes down to it, the Queen Mary that I just built used essentially the exact same chair design, so nothing really changed there. But then again, a chair is kind of a chair, so. Okay, just getting it lined up straight. All right. Another thing I've been looking at a lot of reference pictures so far from has been the HFX Studios. It's putting out a virtual tour of Lusitania here in the future. They have a lot of demo pictures that I've been able to look at online. They've been super helpful. I wish the game was out so I could actually see it and kind of walk the decks, but unfortunately it is what it is, so I gotta go with the old black and white pictures and some of the retouched ones that have been done into color, but we're getting there. Do the best that you can do when it comes to modeling. And the reality is, anybody that actually saw this ship or the Titanic has been dead for quite a while now at this point, so there's nobody that can really tell you what you're wrong in how you're doing your build. but personally, I try to go as period correct as I possibly can. All right, so I'm going to finish up putting chairs down here, and we'll be back with you. Okay, so we are back again. Now have all of the deck chairs that I wanted to get on there set. I have my people on there. There's some people sitting on deck chairs. I got a guy going up the stairs right here. Same thing basically going on this side. Pretty happy with how it came out. All in all, it's going to look pretty good. Before we move on to the next phase, which is this deck, got to go ahead and solder some wiring back onto here, because as I said before, there's some issues up here that I couldn't leave that joined, so got to solder that on. I'll do that off camera. Then I got to take a look at what is visible from the side of the deck here. A lot of people don't bother painting this part, and for me, I do believe that if you can see there's kind of a lip, and I believe that the lower lip is brown and the upper lip is white. I just got to do some reference work to check that beforehand. The sides will be covered by the superstructure parts once they get added on. And then once this comes on, as you can see, our staircase comes right up into there. And once this gets put on, our next step is putting more cabin walls up and getting them on. So we'll again end up doing lighting back in through here, and more fiber optic, and just keep building the deck. So once that deck comes across there, another one goes all the way across, which is why this becomes so important. So we're a little bit of ways away from that. Before I do move on, once I figure out my whole paint situation back here, I am going to do a scale deck demonstration so that can be seen. And I'm also going to coat the bottom of this with our foil tape. So has a little bit of a bow to it. I'm going to take some warm water and try to work that back to straight so I don't have any issues when I go to lay it down on top of here. But other than that, we are moving on. All right, be back in a bit. Okay, it has dried overnight. We got the deck on. It's looking good. You can see a little bit of the detail for the upper rafters that I did there. Kind of hard to see, but it's there. Got the brown strip right along the back here. Turning out nice. So, next thing that's going to happen, I'm going to put a light strip right along here. We got our deck down, like I said, well, like I showed last night, and we're moving right along. So the next step in this is going to be adding our next wall, which goes right here. Whoops, that's the back one, or the side one. That'll go right here. And this step is basically going to be the exact same thing as the lower deck all over again. So I'm going to put that together, and that'll be into the next video, because our next video we will be moving on to our boat deck, which will come on top of here. We'll be lighting all that and starting to build the buildings that go into the upper deck here. So that's about where we're at, and stay tuned. Make sure you like and subscribe. I want to keep these videos coming, and like I said, in the future here we're going to have Titanic 1/200 scale coming, but that's going to be a little while. Probably do some ships in between there, but this one I think is still going to be a good couple weeks out until we're complete. So, okay, our final phase for this episode is putting the side walls of the superstructure on. I did one already, and you can still see the detail of the people down inside there. And this deck here will, like I said, have very similar, the same type of stuff going on. But because I'm using photo-etch, the piece comes with fencing already along the top, so we have to cut that off because it will be replaced with the photo etch. So basically just going to take my knife here and run along the top and trim it off. It comes right off pretty easy, no big deal. And even the longer one kind of just works its way off as you go. At least the other side did. Yep, same thing. Okay. Whoops. All right, so how this goes in, it's a little weird. There's little grooves along the front here that ride along the edge of the hull, and then grooves on the outside that overlap onto the outer part of the hull here. So it kind of just slides down into place. I'm going to get that glued up and then we'll be back. Okay, so I got the sidewalls on. They are tricky. You have to do a lot of pushing down of the deck and then sliding this in. I have it set with tape right now so that it can dry, but I'm going to give this some time because I don't really want to do that again, and they weren't real fun. So anyway, that's going to conclude this video. Stay tuned for our next one, which, like I said, we'll be building up the next deck. And I might actually move on to the boat deck next because I had to order more of the deck chairs. I don't think I have enough to finish what I need on this deck. So yeah, we're probably going to start the boat deck next just to keep it rolling. All right, we'll see you next time.